Hello friends, this is Worm, according to the local barber, and today I wanted to ask the question as to whether or not Bungie hates weapons. Now, I know that sounds a little bit outlandish, right? But where I'm coming from here is look at the subclasses, look at the grenades, the melees, the fragments, the aspects, stuff like that, and tell me how many of those are specifically weapon related. Right, so yes, there's a bunch that do things for grenades and your class ability, melees, stuff like that. But I feel like there are very few that actually enhance gunplay, right? Because here's the thing, not always do people want to get in there and spam abilities and get their supers as fast as possible and, this, that, and the other, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it is fun to just take a step back and just use your guns. Right, and one of the reasons why I brought this up is because last week, I think it was, I was bored, so I was using one of my boredom builds, which more on that in another video. But I was using one of my boredom breaker builds because I was just bored of the tediousness that comes with Destiny, right? And it consists of using Actium War Rig and Sweet Business. Sorry, I couldn't think of the name. Sweet Business. And literally all I wanted to do was make Sweet Business as strong as it could possibly be. Right, and I tried Solar, I tried Void, I tried Stasis, and I ended up having to use Strand of all things, which kind of surprised me. I didn't expect Strand to be as good as it was. But the reason I ended up having to use Strand is because none of these other classes let me really build into the weapon. I mean, Strand didn't let me build into the weapon, so to speak, either, but it does have Banner of War and Woven Mail, which allows me to just kind of passively heal myself and use my guns, right? It's and the rest of everything I was doing revolved around my mods. And it makes me wonder, why is Bungie pushing so hard into building the subclasses, right? I've said it for a long time. I really hope that in the future we get a new subclass, darkness-based, light-based, I don't care, but a new subclass that allows us to build into our weapons, allows us to make our weapons stronger, whether it's kinetic, whether it's, strand, elemental weapons, whatever. Just let us build into a stronger weapons platform. I've thought a cool aspect or a cool fragment maybe, I think it'd make more sense as an aspect, but a cool aspect for a potential subclass would be when you're standing behind Titan, mind you, but when you're standing behind a rally barricade, you get increased damage resistance and your abilities cool down faster, and you get free weapon surge mods, right? You get a free damage boost. It would be so cool, because again, that would allow people, or I should say Titans here. I've got some other ideas for Hunters and Warlock stuff, but that would allow Titans to build into a weapons-based playstyle. And I know that, yes, weapons integrate very well into the subclass builds. Weapons with incandescent, volt shot, destabilizing rounds, headstone, hatchling, all these subclass affected perks, they do fit into subclass builds very well, but I want subclass nodes to build into weapons. Right, we have a class of weapons that literally has no associated subclass with it, right? That's kinetic. And the trade-off, of course, for kinetic is, kinetic weapons, sorry, let me lower myself a little bit. Kinetic weapons, they get 15% more damage than, their energy counterparts, which is good and all, but I don't think that it's necessarily, the best, right? It's not, I'm not saying we need a kinetic-based subclass. I'm not saying that at all, but it would be nice to have, some sort of subclass aspects and fragments that enhanced kinetic weapons as well as your energy weapons, right? Imagine, let's see here, what is one off the top of my head? Imagine Echo. It's on Void. It's the one where when you get a grenade kill, it gives your Void weapons volatile rounds. Imagine if aspects like that worked for kinetic weapons as well. Right, so you get volatile rounds on both your kinetic weapons and your void weapons, or you get unraveling rounds, which actually I think unraveling rounds works with any energy type, which is kind of weird to me. I would assume it just makes sense to only do strand, whatever though, right? But I want to be able to build into my weapons. I want to really consciously think what weapon is going to be the best here, right? And I know everyone thinks that. Everyone thinks like, what weapon would fit in here nicely? What weapon would do well here? But I think that the weapon of choice doesn't matter so much as the subclass that you're building into and the aspects, fragments, and mods that you use. I want builds where I put weapons first. I can put on an aspect that enhances my weapon play, right? Similar to Banner of War. Again, Banner of War, you have to get a melee or a finisher, a sword kill to start it out, but once you get it going, it can improve just your gun skill because it passively heals you. Then you can pair it with something like Into the Fray for that, I don't want to say infinite, but that almost infinite loop of woven mail, which makes you untouchable. But again, there's nothing that builds into the weapons. Like, yes, like Banner of War and Into the Fray is fantastic. Okay, for Titans, it's fantastic because then you can allot all of your mods to improving your weapons, right? But I don't want it all to be mods. I would like aspects to go out there and assist as well. Sorry, not aspects, well, aspects and fragments, right? Fragments that do the same thing. And again, I know that there are, you know, weapons, like, what is it? Thread of, is it propagation? I think the strand fragment that allows your weapons to have unraveling rounds when you get a powered melee kill. Like that's good, but that is one fragment in how many, what is there, like 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that. Like I don't know exactly how many fragments there are, but it's one out of however many, right? I want more, you know, aspects and fragments that build into weapon usage. And this is kind of where the idea of Siva comes along, right? And I know Bungie has said that they're done with Siva, and we're probably, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, we're not ever going to see Siva again. Siva has not made any sort of reintroduction into Destiny 2 outside of the Eververse store as ornaments, right? And ornaments totally unrelated to, you know, the rest of the game, right? Siva, as if I'm not mistaken, no, I take it back. 0 Hour. I think 0 Hour was the only mission where Siva was even remotely relevant. And the reason why is because you got Outbreak Perfected, and Outbreak Perfected is a Siva weapon, right? But outside of Outbreak Perfected, and of course a couple ornaments that we have nothing Siva related. And the reason why is because Bungie has already said they're done with Siva. The storyline for Siva is done. Like they're leaving it in Rise of Iron. But I think that a subclass built around Siva could be the potential to make a more mechanical, you know, a more mechanical / weapon focused subclass build, right? You know, and my mind can't even begin to start to say like, what if this, what if they had this, but like Siva would be the way to do it from a lore perspective. Like Siva just makes sense. Siva, for those of y'all who may not be aware, was basically a how do I explain it? It was a virus. It was a like imagine a computer virus, but a physical virus. It was a living robotic being, right? And Clovis Bray was the one that designed it, and he designed it to build basically all of Mars and all that stuff. Like Siva could be literally programmed to build things, right? But then it got out of control, blah blah blah, and there's a whole storyline behind it. Back in Rise of Iron again. You can go watch that on Destiny Lore Vault or something like that. But that would be the perfect place to potentially add some sort of a, you know, mechanical based subclass, as opposed to these energy ones, you know, the energy ones with, you know, oh, your grenade builds into your melee, which builds into your class ability, which builds into your super, and, you know, everything's all surmounting. Because again, the build crafting in Destiny has come a long way, and it's really good. I'm not complaining about the build crafting in Destiny, because I think the build crafting in Destiny is fantastic, right? Like, I mean, I'm using all different kinds of builds. I have used Void, Solar, Stasis, Arc, Strand on many different levels, right? And just played with them all, had fun with them. You know, some are great, some are not so great, but I've played with them all, and there's literally, it feels like there's an infinite possibility of things that you can do. That paired with exotic weapons and armors, like, you know, and mods, I mean, it literally just goes on forever. But I feel like we're so limited when it comes to our weapons, right? What if there was a grenade where when you threw it down, it just spawned a brick of heavy, and that's all it did, right? Like it was a support grenade, so to speak, and you'd throw it down and it would spawn a brick of heavy and a brick of special for your teammates. I mean, that would be really awesome, right? Have a new subclass that can do that. You know, we talked about the Titan barricade thing earlier. You know, have a a warlock rift gives you an empowerment when you're standing in it, or a warlock rift that instead of being a rift, it becomes an aura around you that perpetually heals you and gives you some damage resistance as long as you're getting weapon kills, similar to Banner of War, but maybe not as big of an area and maybe not as powerful, or something like that. But I don't know, these are just ideas that come to mind, but something to build into weapon usage, build around guns. I want a subclass where my super, my grenade, my melee, and my class ability all enhance my weapon substantially. Like I said, the grenade that can spawn heavy and special ammo, that would be cool, right? A melee ability that, will, automatically, when you hit an enemy with it, it will supercharge your weapon and give you like a surge mod or whatever, 25% damage boost for 10 seconds, and it will automatically reload and overflow your magazine or something like that, and then we were kind of talked about some class abilities and stuff. I just think that these would be so cool to have in the game, and it would be so refreshing so that I don't have to build so much into just grenades and melees and class abilities. Because like seriously, there are, especially on Titan right now, like Strand Titan, it does not matter what I use on Strand Titan. Strand Titan is all about abilities, right? It is all about the abilities. I can slap on whatever kinetic/darkness slot, I can slap on whatever energy slot, I can slap on whatever heavy I want, and yeah, like I'll use them. But when the build is so focused on like ability usage, it does kind of get stale. Same thing with Warlock, same thing with Hunter and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, that's just kind of my thoughts on that. I really wanted to talk about this today because it's been on my mind a lot lately. I want more weapon-based builds. But of course, I want to hear your thoughts on this too. We've talked a lot about weapon-based builds. Do you feel like we need more weapon-based builds? And when I'm saying builds, I'm not talking about, using Skyburner's Oath as a solar build to build into the solar kit. No, I mean like a whole subclass / aspects and fragments that enhance your weapons tremendously. Right, that way we can move away from subclass specific perks, like Incandescent, for example. Like Incandescent is a great perk. I literally don't use solar weapons without Incandescent. Like I don't, not in PvE. In PvP, yes, but in PvE, I just don't do it. I don't see a point to it, right? I would like to change that. I would like to have that change so that I could use, a weapon with Outlaw and Dragonfly that absolutely pops off because I've got aspects and fragments that enhance that weapon. But like I said, I want to hear your thoughts on it. Also, if you have any great, like just raw gunplay builds, tell me them down in the comments below. I'm always looking to play more weapons based as opposed to ability based, right? But yeah, that's it for me, guys. Of course, if you're still watching, do me a favor, go down there and hit the sub button. We do daily Destiny conversations like this. And yeah, other than that, like the video and do me a favor, watch these you see on the end screen because for whatever reason, YouTube thinks you will like them. Ladies and gentlemen, I will see y'all tomorrow. Bye for now, guys.